What is up, everybody? I'm Kevin Coleman of Football Guys, and the fantasy football season is kind of over, right? Chiefs just won a Super Bowl. Now we're diving in full into Dynasty, rookie drafts, all of that. And I thought it would be a lot of fun to get 11 other football guys that works for the site to do a Dynasty mock draft. So what we're going to be doing in this episode is we're going to be diving into 12 rounds of a Dynasty mock, talking strategy, talking where player values are right now. The rookie class was included. So now if you're just getting started, you can start looking at the rookie class and diving into it. So let's get into it and let's look at this Dynasty mock. All right, let's dive in. So what we're going to be going through is we're going to go through each round. So rounds 1 through 3 and all the way through. And so on this stuff, what you're going to see is kind of looking like this. So when you do it, and I always tell people to stop it, pause it, look and see like as you go through each rounds, because I'm going to talk a little bit quicker. But when you look at overall, so like one big thing to notice, and this is something that you got to note when you're getting into drafts. No running backs are going in the first rounds right now in Dynasty mocks. So of all the mocks I've done literally probably 50 mocks since the season ended, the fantasy season, and no running backs going. It's quarterbacks all the way through, and then Jefferson and Chase. And then this is the first time. So my biggest value change that I've seen is A.J. Brown going to the first. I've never seen that. I actually haven't seen him go as wide receiver 3. Jason Wood, who works for Football Guys, took him at a 111. But I've never seen him go that high. But usually what you see on the board is what we get. You're going to get all the quarterbacks. Deshaun usually goes in the first round. Deshaun Watson, late first. That's a little bit of a change in this draft. But, when you're going through here, not a lot of running backs. Now, the second round is where you see a lot of running backs go off the board. But usually that first round, you're going to see all those quarterbacks, and you're going to see a big tier break. Now, I think the quarterbacks went a little lower in this one than some of the other mocks that I've done. But overall, when you're looking at the board, that's kind of how it shakes out. Now, big surprise on the board, or maybe not a surprise to some, but Bijan going at running back 1 at the 201. Like you're seeing right now. So just to understand value, Bijan Robinson is the Dynasty running back 1 as soon as he gets drafted. That's just how we're looking at him. So when you think of value and you think of what's going on right now, that's kind of what you need to know and adjust to it in terms of like, hey, the rookie drafts, where you value the 101 at is what you need to value the Dynasty running back 1 in this format. That's just very simple. And I already did a value pick last episode. I go check that out for values of the 101. So do you think those picks would equal what Bijan is worth, right? That's what you're looking at. Then you go through the second round and you're looking here. You see a lot of running backs get taken. ETN, Taylor. You look at Breece Hall. He's growing as running back 3. Walker was running back 2. I think my favorite pick of this draft, though, Craig Lakins did it. He writes Football Guys. Christian McCaffrey. I think that he has a good build. He has Mahomes, McCaffrey, and Higgins there. I think that's a win now build. I love the pairing of Mahomes and McCaffrey because you're looking at basically probably could be running back 1 and quarterback 1 in fantasy. And in Higgins, if he gets moved or shipped, could be maybe that wide receiver 1, but you still have value there as Dynasty. You're still building, right? And I thought that was a good pick. My favorite pick of that one, because if you're looking for a guy to win you a league, it's Christian McCaffrey, as long as he stays healthy, right? Now, just to go through the rookie quarterbacks, where they're getting taken, Bryce Young at the 212, where you see him there, the pair with Josh Allen, and then CJ Stroud at the 302, right? So, or 303, excuse me. So when you're looking at that, that's kind of where the rookie quarterbacks are going. We don't see any else there. Flip it around, going to the end of the third, you're going to see Garrett Wilson kind of get drafted in that. So he's kind of being that guy, that top 12 kid. And another one, Josh Jacobs in the third round is interesting. We haven't seen him go that high in a long time. That was another big value change. I couldn't put both down. Then going through, Jared Goff getting taken in the third round. So you're going to see a big tier break. So as far as the quarterbacks go in Dynasty right now, you're going to see a massive tier break, and that's something to take a note, right? Tua going in the third, I don't love that pick because I do think that I'm a big Tua guy, but with all the question marks surrounding him, I'd rather him be my quarterback 2 and not my quarterback 1. And in this case, he is Jason Woods' quarterback 1. I think I worry about that a little bit more. I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Would you be worried about that? And then Olave rounds out the 312. So Olave is going to jump in there. And when you're looking at overall with Olave, like he's getting valued as a top 12 Dynasty wide receiver. So think of those things to note. Now, let's jump into rounds 4 through 6, kind of look at them. You're going to go through here, and really this is kind of some question marks going on. So Lance goes at the 401. So would you believe in Lance? Lance kind of a value right now. He was going in the second round last year. Now he's going in the fourth. Eckler's getting in there. So this is kind of like some mix of veterans and some rookies in this class. Russell Wilson, I think, is an interesting value, 406. Our leader, the owner and everything, Joe Bryant, really loves Russell Wilson going into the values. So do you think he's a value in that fourth? Would you like to build a dynasty team around him? Now, I'm going to show you the full teams here in a little bit. But overall, I think that's an interesting grab. Then you have Javonte, Gibbs, and Swift. Interesting group of running backs there. We don't know Gibbs' landing spot or his draft capital yet. Javonte with the injury, right? And then Swift right there at the 409. I think I like that for Swift. He's getting undervalued a little bit, but depends on what happens with Jamal Williams, right? Now, going through just the draft and overall these 3 rounds here, I think the biggest value change is Ramondre Stevenson. He's jumping into the 6th round now. Before he was not doing that. He was at like 9, 10. 8 maybe, depending on the drafts that you're in, because people question whether or not a Patriots running back can really be that guy. And I think we've seen that. Dave Kluge talked about this, like he went through it and he talked about it on his Twitter page, and he's in this draft as well. He said, hey, do we trust him being a running back 1 moving forward? And there's a lot of question marks about Ramondre. So if you have him, you might be interested. Like if you see any guys on this list and maybe some wide receivers that you'd be interested in moving him for, maybe quarterbacks, I think that's really the area that you look at. And then my favorite pick is Chris Godwin. Godwin going in the 6th round, I think, is still a value. I think he's the most undervalued dynasty asset right now. He continues to be undervalued. He's someone that I told you guys to go buy in the middle of the season on this same channel. I think he's undervalued right now in terms of what people are looking at. Then we have some other quarterbacks going on. I want to kind of highlight that. Daniel Jones is the 504. Now, remember, this is a super flex draft, so you start 2 quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson at the 508. That's a value. That's just a risk play that someone's just saying, I'm going to go for it. So if he gets drafted in the 1st round, would you be comfortable with Anthony Richardson there? And then Will Levis at the 602. So this is where you get those kind of like iffy prospects that have some risk. Daniel Jones, Carr, Levis, Geno. So those are the quarterbacks you have to kind of hope falls to you if you miss out on like 2 guys. So that's the question. Do you get 2 guys at the beginning so that you don't have to worry about that position? Like I did. I'm going to do that in this draft to show you guys what that looks like. But then you're looking at, hey, these other guys there, right? Then you see Jordan Addison and other groups there. So that's the 4, 5, 6 range. And this is kind of like, I always, when you're looking at just the drafts and like the narratives of this 4, 5, 6 range has a lot of risk in it. So really you're looking at, okay, guys that you're trying to project are going to break out and exceed their value. That's what you're looking for at the 4, 5, 6 round. Now, let's go through 7 and 9, and we're going to kind of look at what it looks like here. This is the veteran group. So you're looking through here, man. There's a lot of veterans that are going to be priced in here. I think the biggest value change to me is like Aaron Jones. So when you're looking at Aaron Jones, he went 901. So when you're looking at him in the 9th round as like a 0 running back build, there's some running backs in this group that I think if you're going to try to get one of these guys that you're running back 1 or 2 as like a contender right away, where the running back position is something that I like to like kind of punt a little bit in terms of that. I'm a 1 running back, anchor running back, or 0 running back guy. Jones, 901. Kamara. I know Kamara, there's some hate. Jeff Bells, who's in this draft. We've kind of gone at it back and forth about his value. I still think if you get Kamara at the 905, I know he hasn't been great, but as a running back 2 on your roster, I don't hate that because you're looking at pass catching upside, maybe longevity for a couple years. You could put him in there, running back 2, solid player, right? Dalvin Cook in the 8th round, Derrick Henry in the 7th round. Like there's a lot of running backs in this group. Miles Sanders, depending on, I know he didn't look good in the Super Bowl, but if you're looking at this class, like this is kind of, or this group, this tendency, this is kind of where you look for your running back 2, your late running back grab, if you're going to build through the wide receivers. Now, my favorite pick is Brandon Ayuk. I think Brandon being in that spot where he's at, I think that's good value right now for him because going forward in the 7th round, Debo you saw that kind of injury stuff. You saw Brandon really step up in that offense. Getting him in the 7th round, I think, is a smash pick there. And then you're going to go through some of the rookies that get highlighted in this one just so you can do it. Again, stop when you can. But Keyshawn Boutte there at a late 11. Then you're looking at like, hey, Rashad Bateman, obviously coming off that. Obviously not a rookie, but coming off kind of like the 2 years kind of underperformed. He's going in the 8th. Maybe he's a value to there. Jalen Hyatt, Tennessee kid, 9th round. Josh Downs, North Carolina kid, the 9th round. So you're looking at a mix of like veterans and then like really ceiling play rookie picks here. So I thought these were interesting. I will also say another big value change is Calvin Ridley. So you see him there at the 809. He was not going anywhere close to the top 12 rounds in these things about a month ago. He is kind of, and I know people love Calvin Ridley. He hasn't played football for almost 2 years, basically, right? So when you're thinking of like him as an asset, he's pretty topped out at his ceiling right now among dynasty managers out there. How much work will he really get in Jacksonville? I think is the question we need to start asking ourselves. And if you can go there, I've seen him move for a 24 first. Man, that might not be a bad get right now for Calvin Ridley, especially if you're on a kind of a tweener team or rebuilding team. Go out there and maybe ship off Ridley and get a value back. He's at his value peak, in my opinion, right now in this part of the dynasty. right? In this dynasty kind of landscape. Now, let's look at rounds 10 through 12, and we're going to dive into it. Then I'm going to go through some of the strategies. Biggest value change in this group, and again, this is where you start just looking for value. Aaron Rodgers, I think he's the ultimate value play right now. Right now, he's hanging out in the dark somewhere, just contemplating life. But after he gets out of the dark, he might actually hey, so I'm going to play again. And if you can get him in the 12th round right now as a super flex quarterback, maybe he's your third, or maybe you really waited for a QB2 and you're going to roll the dice and just go with that. I think that's a hell of a value. It's a risk though, right? We don't know what he's going to do out of the dark. But if he does come back and play and he lands himself on a team and he's a quarterback 2 on your roster and you waited till the 12th round to get him, that's kind of a league winning move for the first year. Now, don't draft Aaron if it's a rookie build. Don't do that. Or if it's a young build and a productive struggle or whatever the hell that is, don't do that. But if you're going, hey, I'm going to win it, I'm going to go do that, I don't mind taking the risk. And you see here in the 12th round what's there, right? So you see kind of what you have to take the risk on, like Kadarius Toney or Aaron Rodgers. What risk do you want, right? And I think that's just all about how you build your roster. My favorite pick is my pick, so I'm going to be that guy. But David Njoku, I think the tight end position right now, if you're going to punt on the tight end position, this is where you want to land. So don't reach in those other rounds because I think the value in the tiers for running backs and wide receivers are too high for tight ends. So look at some guys going in this area. Waller in the 10th, Njoku, Kmet, Dulcich, Ingram. Those are all guys I would be targeting in dynasty leagues at the tight end position if I can't get into that top tier. Don't waste those picks on those middle round tight ends. It never works out. It just never does. Don't do it, right? Just don't do it. Look for these guys: Ingram, Njoku, Kmet, Dulcich. Njoku looked great down the stretch with Watson. I think that they were building chemistry. I think he could be the value play. I would also rather have him over Kmet. I did a Twitter poll on this because me and Jeff Hasley, we kind of, hey, well, who would you rather have? I think I'm leaning with Njoku just because I like what Deshaun Watson has done with his tight ends, especially at Houston. If you look at the splits and everything there, touchdowns are through the roof. What does Cleveland do at that wide receiver position? They're going to have to lean on Njoku a little bit. This is, to me, the tight end spot, right? The tight end area where you want to kind of grab a tight end. Other guys that kind of highlight: Tank Bigsby, running back out of Auburn, Sean Tucker. So you're looking at some rookies there, Zach Evans in the 11th. But overall, this is kind of the, where's that value play and where does it look? Now, let's go through the final outlook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put up all the teams, and I would highly, highly recommend you guys pausing it and just seeing team builds. Now, I'm going to highlight 3 team builds here, but overall, this is what the draft looks like. So let's go into it a little bit. So when you're looking at just overall, there's value across the board here. And I want to say something too. I don't think there's a better collection of fantasy managers out there or fantasy analysts than Footballguys. And I know every site's going to say that, but we are very in tune with the Dynasty area of the committee. A lot of these guys all look at rookies. We dived into it. We did a giant rookie guide. I'm going to highlight here at the end of the video. These guys know what they're talking about. These are some of the smartest people I've ever been in leagues with. And so when you're looking at value, this is different than just a dynasty mock someone does on social media or whatever. This is a legitimate dynasty startup, and I think it's important to look at and see, okay, how does this value play and where everything goes. Now, I want to highlight a few. Obviously, I'm going to talk about my own because I did it, and I want to kind of talk you through what I like to do. So for me, I went a little bit young, but I got 2 quarterbacks. I think Prescott in the second at that spot is a smash play. I don't think you can draft anybody else, especially with the tier break. I thought of Bryce and I saw CJ, but I think Dak and Jalen Hurts together, I think that's a good solid base in Superflex. Then you have Garrett Wilson, who I've been very high on. He was my wide receiver 1 last year, before all the draft, before everything. Giving me as wide receiver 1, and I took Gibbs. And for me, I like that 0 running back or 1 running back, anchor running back type of guy. And I love Gibbs' pass catching ability. And I do like what he can bring to the table. And then I just went kind of wide receiver heavy. Pittman, Judy, and Brown. I don't love those picks. I don't hate them either. I just think, hey, Judy could break out. Pittman's the wide receiver 1. Marquise Brown. When I'm looking at wide receivers, I want to get wide receiver 1 guys. I'm like, hey, are they going to be wide receiver 1 target guys? That's what I'm saying there. And then I went Sanders and Kamara as kind of hey, value veteran plays. Njoku, I really like Jacoby. And then I took Sean Tucker late just to kind of grab a rookie running back. And hey, could he have value there? So that's kind of how my build is. Now, I want to highlight Jeff Bell, someone who I really, truly respect. He's one of the best dynasty minds out there, in my opinion. Joe Burrow, Pitts, and Stroud. So, hey, would you take Pitts this high? I think I want to highlight that. Put in the comments where you at with that. Tyreek Hill, Juju, Quentin Johnson, Ayuk, and Freiermuth. So he went kind of double tight end, a little bit of a different kind of strategy there. And then he always does this, and it works for him because he wins a lot of leagues. Dylan, Algier, Connor. Like when you look at the running back position, they grab a lot of those guys at the end, and I'm all for that. Like hey, those are guys that can definitely. Dylan, Algier, and Connor are guys that are late round guys that you can just plug and play, but he's getting real production from his wide receivers, and I thought that was a great build there. Now, the last one is I'm going to go Dave's group here, Lamar, and Deshaun is a great fit with DK and London and Burks and Godwin. I really like his build. We tend to go, all of us, like that no running back kind of build, but I thought he had the best team. That's also why I highlighted him. Metcalf, London, Burks, Godwin. Then you have Goddard there. Deontay, Hyatt. I think he's a good pick because I think he's going to get higher draft capital than people think. He rated on tight end there, kind of where you got Waller, probably a value play. Then you got Brian Robinson and Zeke, and he kind of went that zero running back route as well. I really wanted to highlight his team because I really liked it. And then other than that, those are kind of the groups. I would say like a couple of the teams, having Tua, Will Levis, and Stafford as your quarterbacks, I kind of worry about that. I really like Chris's team too. I thought he went young, and I thought it was a good mix between there. But overall, really good squads from everybody. So pause it, see what you like on it, and go from there. So again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys going to Football Guys and using us. Now, I want to do highlight before I get out of here. The rookie guide. So me, Jeff Bell, and Christian Williams, we did a 120 player profile rookie guide 1.0. It is completely free for the first time. We're going to have 3 editions of this thing. It is massive. It is getting you ready for your rookie drafts. I cannot stress how important it is just to download it. You might as well download the first one. It's free. If you're a Football Guys subscriber, you'll be getting both of the other versions, obviously, in your subscription. But everybody else, get it. Go get that free version. See what you have. Find me on Twitter. You can see my @name there. And tell me what you think. Tell me anything that you want to do. Again, tell me what's wrong. I'm here to help. So I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you enjoyed this mock draft. I hope you enjoyed kind of what we're trying to accomplish here to help you in your Dynasty leagues, because I know it's going to be Dynasty season soon. So I appreciate you guys. I will check you guys next time. Hit that like and subscribe button before you leave.